So, the other day, I was farming Uberdurial, as you do, over and over and over, endlessly, only to be repeatedly crushed when no Uber uniques drop? Oh yes! Hello, my fellow sorcerers, and welcome to Uber Ball Lightning. Yes, indeed, I am really both excited and happy to report that Ahavarion, Spear of Lycander, is not just good, it is not just great, it is not just actually, as it turns out, incredible, but the single best item in the game for Ball Lightning Sorcerer. Ignoring Shaco, of course, but, you know, Shaco is everybody's best item for everything. It's not this meme tier worst Uber unique that we kind of see it as. Now that I've got one myself, now that I have experimented, it is absolutely monstrous. And I'm not even talking about the shrine effect, though that is quite potent and can come in ridiculously handy. No, just the raw affixes on this thing are better than wand focus and the two aspects that come with them, and I have been doing a lot of testing. So what I wanted to do today was share with you this upper potential of our best build, and hopefully either give you the aspiration to get out there and farm just a little bit more Uberdurial for your own, or if you already have one, the know-how to slot it in and improve every aspect of your Diablo life. So, as you've been seeing in the background, I am absolutely, utterly deleting Uber Lilith with the spear. The first time with a greed shrine buff, as you do get one when you beat her first phase, so that's not adding any damage. And then the second time with a little bit of artillery, and, well, you could see the results. And, of course, a tier 100 could not be more comfortable. I want to focus on the affixes, and I will in a moment, but just to touch on the random shrine effects, I mean, yeah, out of the options available, they're all kind of utterly busted, and it's kind of easy to underestimate that, because you don't really get shrines that often, they're not something you really think about, they just pop up, you use them, whatever, but having them as a core repeatable part of your build and gameplay is kind of, well, a revelation. I want to save talking about the shrines you can get specifically for a little bit later, but I do want to point out that if it wasn't for Abattoir of Zir, the value of this might be a little bit lower. But with how much seemingly it's going to scale up to tier 25, with how much health enemies and presumably the end boss will have, we might well be seeing a situation where one of the only reliable ways to beat it is to save an elite before the boss spawns, get a lethal or a conduit shrine, and then use that to essentially cheese it. And I think that that is going to be a likely scenario, and turns this into not just, well, an incredible staff, but a mandatory piece of equipment to cruise through every single Abattoir of Zir rank. And that in itself is a very exciting prospect, especially if we consider that, as far as we're aware, one death means game over, you've wasted your sigil and all that powder, so being able to have shrines like Conduit, like Protection, that make it impossible to die is invaluable, and I am under very little doubt that this Uber Unique in particular for Sorcerers and Druids is going to come in absolutely clutch for our upcoming Ultra Endgame challenge, so that is definitely worth bearing in mind. Oh, and I am currently working on and in a form of a Ultra Tank build for Abattoir of Zir for Ball Lightning Sorcerers that I will be sharing with you very soon, so do look out for that. In any case, let's get into the details here.
And also, can we point out just how freaking cool it looks to walk around with this as your staff?
So, Ahavarion then. It has plus 52% damage. It's not multiplicative, but it is nice, right? That's a decent increase, as is the increased damage to crowd control enemies, though the increase to crowd control is not strictly better than the extra damage to close. That said, the lucky hit chance to stun is a real wildcard winner here. Sorcerer by default, through both paragon, aspects, skill tree, there is a lot of ways to do more damage to CC'd to stunned enemies, and this applies it consistently because that's quite the high chance to do so. So essentially, we get to lock down enemies consistently with our ball lightnings going crazy, triggering this lucky hit all the time, do more damage to them, but also a stunned enemy can't kill you. So you actually have quite the survival bump from it, and it's definitely something to point out. I can't express how useful I have found this staff's ability to turn the ball lightning ring into a ring of perma-stun. It's almost like it gives you the other potential upgrade for ball lightning, and that's really cool. And this upgrade is really good. We just require the crackling energy mana, so we can't even think about taking it. So you get a cake and eat it too situation going on. Then we get to the other two affixes that really take this to the next level. 30% unconditional permanent attack speed. That is ludicrous. 30% faster casted ball lightnings, and 30% doubled ticking ball lightning from the passive on the skill tree. This cannot be understated as to how good it is. But then you have 24%, again, permanent unconditional critical strike chance. When I put this on, I just sit at 66% critical strike chance, which coupled with Elementalist is true 100% chance to crit. That is amazing to see. So the actual weapon itself, and we've talked about the shrine effects, but we will go into more detail, is kinda underappreciated for just how potent the affixes are, especially for ball lightning, because the two stats we care about most in terms of dealing pure damage is attack speed and critical strike chance. So what more could we ask for? Now, let's go through then the pros and cons of using this staff over your one-hand dagger and focus. Number one then is the one-hand attacks faster, right? 1.2 attacks per second versus 1 attack per second. However, 30% extra attack speed means that you actually attack 1.3 by default with the staff, ignoring all your other stats, compared to the default 1.2. And you can't get attack speed on a dagger or a wand, so actually the spear specifically does cast ball lightnings. Like, look at that. Like, is that not ridiculous? And then when you put this on, you compare the speeds, it's nearly identical. So we don't lose any cast speed. That is great. The next issue then is damage. We have to compare the damage lost from all of this close damage, from this mastery skill damage, from this vulnerable damage, the intelligence that we are giving up to gain the crit chance and the just pure damage. But that in itself, well, is easily testable. If we put these two back on and head to our target dummy and start rotating around, you will see ball lightning hitting for, what, around the 170, the top end is sort of 200k mark. That's where we're at. Then if we put our lovely Ahavarion on and start doing the same thing, well, you will see we immediately go above the 200k. We see peaks of about 230k and a higher minimum of about 190. So it's not an insane amount of more damage, but it is more damage. So we're not losing out on that front either. After that, then, you've got mana management, and this is harder to quantify. Of course, Ahavarion doesn't do anything to keep your resource gen up and keep casting ball lightnings, whereas your focus does. We have resource gen, we have mana cost reduction. That's a big deal. It's what lets us just keep collecting the crackling energy and then never run out of mana, just keep spamming ball lightning, and there we have it. But the thing is, because of how actually good our mana generation is in this build, even if we put the spear on and start achieving something similar, you can see that we still just never run out of mana. We don't need the mana management affixes on the focus. It's a little bit of a more roller coaster up and down, but it's certainly not crippling, and you get by more than fine. So that's not really a factor either. Then you have cooldown reduction. You lose the innate 10% cooldown reduction on your focus and an extra bit if you have an affix for it. Yeah, this is a sad thing. It's not something that obviously Ahavarion can make up for, unless of course you roll Channeling Shrine on the extra effect, but that's heavy RNG. The thing is, Ball Lightning doesn't need a crazy amount of cooldown reduction because all we care about is Ball Lightning. Yes, using Teleport 10% more often is nice. Using Unstable Currents 10% more often is nice, but it's not critical or crucial to the build, and is certainly a worthy trade-off for the power gain of Ahavarion. Lastly then, aspects. What do we lose aspect-wise? Well, the two aspects that you give up on your standard Ball Lightning, and you can adapt this from any of the main Ball Lightning variants I've presented you guys, you want to give up Accelerating for that attack speed, which is then immediately gone back and more by the innate attack speed on the spear, so we're not worried about that, that's fine. Then the other one we give up is Conceited. Now, technically you could give up Elementalist and keep Conceited, so we have, well, just the 66% crit chance, but then do the multiplicative more of a barrier, and there's an argument for either way round. But as we've seen, the damage dealt is still greater with Ahavarion than with Conceited active with Wand and Focus. So again, it's not actually a loss to lose these two aspects. They're kind of just extras. They're not core to the build to make it functional. It's not like we're giving up Gravitational. So in all that then, there's just no real negative to Ahavarion. Ignoring the shrine effects, the pure affixes beat Wand and Focus with their affixes and the aspects they provide. So that is excellent. That is so good to know, because then we just get to have the shrines as a complete bonus on top of that, and there's no such thing as a bad shrine. So let's go over them. Every single shrine gives you a big movement speed bonus, 35% or so. That means in Season 2, Vampire Mode, that gives you more attack speed into Ravenous because that's from your move speed. So even if you get the Dud Shrine of Greed, it's still a damage increase because the move speed translates to Ravenous, and the move speed still lets you clear faster. So that's the worst case scenario, and still really good. After that then, everything is kind of a win. An artillery shrine to blast out the extra streaks of light in front of you. I mean, it puts your attack speed to 100%, which is the cap, which is obviously amazing, though then again this build kind of sits at the attack speed cap anyway, so that part is wasted, but then all of our attacks summon the extra bits of damage that will do colossal amounts of damage. So that one is great. Blast Wave is probably on the lower side, but it's still periodic auto one-hit kill clears of every enemy around you, so yeah, that's fine. Channeling Shrine. Reduce cooldown and nothing costs resource. This is God mode for Ball Lightning. Being able to cast Ball Lightning at our near capped attack speed infinitely without even thinking about mana, without collecting crackling energy, while also having basically no cooldown on teleport and stable currents on all of your extras. Yeah, this is silly. Conduit speaks for itself. You become immune, and you teleport around as a ball of lightning, one-shotting everyone. Conduit specifically is what might well carry the high-tier Abattoir of Zir when you roll it at the right time, and you can use it on the boss that spawns. You're going to feel very good about that. And then, finally, lethal. You get 100% crit chance, and everything you do just does more damage. I mean, yeah, that's also phenomenal, and you're not going to be upset by that either. It's just a huge damage steroid. Oh, and I suppose Protection Shrine, just 20 seconds. 20 seconds of invulnerability and unstoppable, so you could just walk around and clean up. And again, if you die and then it's over, just one life, this one is also going to be really good to see. And that's the thing then. Every shrine, even the lowly greed, though that's definitely in a much worse tier than all the others, it's essentially, in my book, greed, then a tier above is blast wave and protection, and then everything else is in the tier above that, but there isn't really something you're going to be super sad to see unless you're really banking on a specific one for a specific moment. But just from doing tier 100s with this, every time I get the shrine roll, I'm really happy, and just having the easiest 20 seconds of my life going nuclear on the dungeon. It's so good in every sense of the word, and I have no qualms in saying that Ahavarion is just best in slot for ball lightning, and if you have it, you should use it, and if you don't have it, I honestly, as much as it's a pain, recommend that Duriel grind. And as you've seen, the way to fit it in is to simply just drop Accelerating, drop Conceited or Elementalist, up to you, and then equip it. You don't have to make any other changes to your build. There's no point getting boots with Shrine Duration on, etc. The 20 out of 30 is fine. Just equip it, those are the aspects that you drop, and you move on with your life enjoying your newfound power. So yeah, I really just kind of wanted to go over that because it's really that good, and I figured you guys might be interested in seeing what Uber Unique Powered Ball Lightning looks like. I will at least add the rest of the Uber Uniques here if you are wondering, as I know a lot of people have asked me, what Uber Uniques would you use, where would you put them, how would you change it? Well, ideal Uber Unique Ball Lightning essentially just uses two uniques, Ahavarion for your weapon, and then of course Harlequins Crest for your helmet. Harlequin's Crest, you literally just equip. The 20% damage reduction on it means you don't have to make any adjustments, you still get that nice DR, and then the extra ranks and everything is just great. So yeah, literally just equip it and replace whatever is in your helmet, and you're good. We know how to incorporate Ahavarion, and then the third one that you might end up needing, or at least wanting, is Selig for the insane survivability it gives us, because our mana regen is so crazy with all the crackling energy, we can just use it to become sort of instantly immortal when it drops. You can also quite literally use Selig to become actually AFK in a tier 100 level immortal. It does come at the cost of a lot of damage output, which might be too much damage output to lose in high tier abattoirs, but it is cool that Sorcerer along with Barbarian are the two classes that can become AFK in a tier 100 level unkillable with Selig. But that one is not a auto equip because you lose a lot of damage from potent necklace rolls like Ranks of Mastery skills, Ranks of Devouring Blaze, cooldown reduction, movement speed, etc. So you will do less damage with Selig on, but you just won't die, which to be fair means you can then put less defensive aspects, skills, paragons in, and that one is a little bit more build warping, but as I say, it is optional. But if you do have Selig and you don't want to do the gimmicky AFK immortal, you just want to put it on and be really hard to kill, well then you simply equip it, you move Disobedience over to your chest with Mage Lords or Shaco still being your helmet, then you drop Elementalist aspect on your ring for recharging aspect, and you use the Chain Lightning enchantment so that every time it automatically fires and the resource drain from Selig does count towards that, it restores a load of mana from the recharging aspect so it powers itself, and then you're up and running. De facto, you just whack Shaco in your helmet, a Ahavarion in your hands, and off you go with whichever ball lightning build you want to apply that to. That's why this isn't a traditional build guide in that sense, because it really is just as simple as equip it, drop these aspects, and you can mold that to whatever version of Ball Lightning you are playing, but I really wanted to show you just how good this can get, and it can get really, really good. So, for now, let me know how your Uber Unique journey is going, any Ubers you've incorporated into any Sorcerer builds, and how it's worked out for you, and good luck for finding any and all that you want in your endless sea of Duriels. Don't worry, I'll be right there in the trenches with you. For now then, like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.